Hello. Today we're going to talk about dot plot shape as well as dot plot characteristic. Um, let's talk about the shape. For the first slide, you will see I am putting in three different kind of shape for the dot plot. The first one is symmetrical for daily high temperature in Ashton, Iowa in July. As you can see, it is evenly and also evenly on this side. And the height, the mode is 22, as you can see it. And it looked like a bell curve. So I called it symmetrical. Okay. The next one in the middle is birds on tree at a park, different number of the birds. And it is right scale. So when you see right scale, the data start from the mode and it's going down. The data shift to the right. And if you do animating and you click on the people on here, it's animated and it look like the people like skiing to the right side. So if you want to click on it and see it right scale for the shape, the dot plot. And the last one is left skewed. Is the number of kid attempt on a test or something. So again, left skew, you start from the mode and it's going to the left. Your data skew to the left. And again, if you click on the human that I made and you hit animating or review, you can see it's skiing to the left. So it's called left skew. So if you forgot what symmetrical right scale, left scale look like, go back to this page and go from there. Next one, I would like to talk about dot plot characteristic. What they have in the dot plot. So let's clear this one. Okay. So we see on dot plot characteristic, they may have outlier, some gap, peak, or cluster. And we're going to find out what is the definition in this dot plot, fuel economy for random sample of 2015 model year vehicles. So let's talk about what is an outlier. So when you have a dot plot, it's not always you're going to have all four. Okay. You may have just 1 out of 4 or 2 out of 4. Sometimes they have all. So in this dot plot, I put it all. So you will know the definition along the way. So when there's an outlier, so outliers, whoops, sorry, I don't mean that. Like clear. Okay, I should move it instead. Okay, so this outlier is basically that number 40 right here. Okay, we have one outlier on this dot plot. So it is a value that far away from the data set. So this 40 is by itself. So it's called an outlier. Next one is gap. We have a couple gap in here. We have one gap right here. And then we have one gap from 32 to 40. So I'm gonna copy and paste this gap. Copy and paste. So we have two gap. Ooh. Yeah, I didn't do it successfully, so I'm gonna do it again. Copy again and paste. Okay, here we go. So we have two gap. Okay, so gap mean an open space in the dot plot. So do you see there's nothing, there's no dot at around 26 or 25, right? So there's a gap on the fuel economy at 25 and 26, and as well as 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, and 39. There is no point. There's blank, so it's this gap. An open space in the dot plot is called gap. All right, next one is peak. Peak is like the mode, is the highest value, not the one that having repeating numbers. The number that have the highest value is called peak. Kind of like the mode, right? It's repeat, the number 31 repeat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So it's the peak. Right, and the last one is cluster. So I would put my cluster is right here. Okay, because cluster is a group of value. I would put it right here. Cluster, I'll shift it up a little bit to talk about cluster, the definition of cluster. Here we go. Cluster is a group of value that stay together. So in this scenario, they cluster from, I would say 29 to 32. That we have a group of data that stay together. Okay. So let's recap. Gap means there's a blank on your data set on open space and a dot plot. Okay, when nothing happened, nothing in between, we call it gap. Peak is the highest value, right? The one look like the mode. Cluster mean there's a set of data that stay together, right? And then the last one is an outlier, is the value that's far away from other. Okay, again, if you forgot about dot plot characteristic, you can take a screenshot of this page, okay, and get it. Number 3, we're gonna do a couple practice problem from page 3, page 4, and page 5. Okay, on page 3, we're gonna have a dot plot right here, okay, and we're gonna place the correct term that describe or interpreting this dot plot. Okay, we're gonna look at this dot plot and see what we have. First one, do you see any gap? Yeah, there's a gap right here from 4 to 10, right? So we have a gap. All right, there's an outlier. Oh yeah, this is an outlier at 10 for this dot plot. So there's an outlier. Is this shape is symmetrical, or it is right scale or left scale for the shape? Left scale, right scale, or symmetrical? In this dot plot, it is right scale. Okay, you can see it scale to the right. Okay, so it's right scale. Do you see any peak? Yep, there's a peak right here. There's a peak. We can say peak at 0. Okay, there's a gap from 4 to 10. There's an outlier at 10. And it is right scale. Do we see any cluster? Yeah, cluster from 0 to 3 or 4. There's a cluster from 0 to 4. Okay, so we're done with the first one. All right, this one right here. So we're gonna take a look on this practice, this dot plot, and see. Is there a gap? Yeah. Bring it to the front. There's a couple gap. We can have a gap right here, right here. There's a gap also right here. So there's a gap. Is there an outlier? No outlier. They not far, like really, really far away from your data set, right? It's very close, so it's no outlier. This one is left skill, right? As you can see, this, I did something wrong. Okay, so let's send it picture to the back. Okay, this is lab skill that this data set go from the mode of the pig. This go this way. So it's lab skill. Okay, or you can click to the human right here and hit click review, skiing to the left. So it is left skill. So no right skill, no symmetrical. Is there's a peak? Yeah, right here, right? So there's a peak because I don't have the number label, so I don't know what number they talking about, but there's a peak right here. There's a cluster, right? From this point to this point. So that's clustering right here. There's a group that stay together. All right. Let's do the last one. Okay. I would like to clear my page. All right. Look at this practice. Is there any gap? Will be, there's a gap, right? Okay. So there's a gap from 40 to 75. So we can put extra information in your gap from 40 to 75. There's a gap. There is an outlier. Yeah, the outlier is at 40. You can say more 40. Are they left skill, right skill, or symmetrical? As you can see, there's some point on this right side, and is beside an outlier. It is very even. Okay, so it is symmetrical. Whoop. So I'm gonna move symmetrical right here. Is there's a peak? Yeah, there's a peak right here at 90. Peak at 90. Very good. And do we have any cluster? Yes, we have clustering from 75 to 100. Cluster mean the group that stays together, 75 to 100. Okay, so we just learned the shape and the dot plot characteristic. So when you see a dot plot, you will know, do they have any specific gap, peak, cluster, or outlier, or you know the shape, are they symmetrical, right scale, or left scale? So on the last page, so you're gonna go to record it under media. You click on media and you're gonna hit record an audio and put it right here. Okay. And then in your own word, record and describe the definition of the shape and character of the dot plot. So you will say what is symmetrical look like, what right scale, left scale look like, and gap look like, cluster look like, peak look like, as well as the gap. Have a great day.